Welcome back. Our next session is hypothesis testing. Till now we are through with sampling distribution, estimation. Now once we have certain estimate that we discussed in estimation, an estimate about the population parameter. So estimate whether we can accept that estimate about the population parameter or not, that we discussed under interval estimation. Then moving forward under hypothesis testing, so it is a process of testing our hypothesis. And what is a hypothesis? Hypothesis is just an assumption about the population parameter. That assumption may be based on a sample statistic, that may not be based on a sample statistic. The complete process of testing that assumption is called hypothesis testing. What we are going to cover under this session is, we shall be having introduction to hypothesis tested. Then when we accept or reject an assumption, there are quite likely chances of creating certain errors. Those errors can be defined as type 1 and type 2 errors. We shall study significance levels, steps in hypothesis testing, one-tailed and two-tailed test, hypothesis testing of mean and proportion. So we shall be taking this today. There are certain learning outcomes. It is expected that after completion of this, you will be able to understand what is hypothesis testing, what are the type 1 and type 2 errors, significance levels, and you will be able to apply this understanding to test a belief or opinion by statistical methods. So that belief or opinion is written as an assumption, like you may be having initially certain assumptions about this particular program of certificate course in fundamentals of management. Then when you are going through, at this stage maybe you have developed some more assumptions, certain assumptions of yours are accepted, certain are rejected. So this complete process, when we do it with statistical methods, it is hypothesis testing with statistical methods. So like we are discussing, to have the exact definition of hypothesis testing, so we can have this as certain statement assumptions about the population which may or may not be true, but still we are assuming something. It may happen later on that certain assumptions were found to be correct, certain even were not found to be correct, those were incorrect. Now the assumptions may be either a null hypothesis or an alternative hypothesis. If we have any statement about the population, say if we say that particular information represents the population is equal to that particular value, that will be a null hypothesis. And if we say it is not equals to that or more than that or less than that, that will be an alternative hypothesis. To understand this, we can have certain examples here. Say if we discuss whether this new method of teaching through recordings, so that a student has the complete recording of the faculty available, and as per his or her convenience they can watch this, they can re-watch this, and they can rather maybe have better understanding. So is this method better than the current method? So there, under alternative hypothesis, we will say the new method is better, right? That is, it is different from the previous method, because our requirement is to find out whether it is better or not. So alternative hypothesis would become that it is a better method of teaching, understanding. The null hypothesis says the new method is no better than the old method. So null hypothesis is a hypothesis of equality, that two values are equal, there is no difference, whereas alternative hypothesis is a hypothesis of inequality. Here it is more than equals to the previous method. We are talking about it is better than the previous method. So in this way we can have alternative and null hypothesis. Another example, say a new sales force bonus plan is developed in an attempt to increase sales. So what our objective is, that with that bonus plan, in terms of incentives and some other ways, we would like to see whether our sales are increased or not. So, the alternative hypothesis will be the new bonus plan increase sales, and null hypothesis where it is not effective in increasing the sales. So, the new bonus plan does not increase sales, that will be our null hypothesis. So, this is a situation of equality, this is a situation of inequality. One more quick example here, because this is quite important, that how do you define null and alternative hypothesis. Sometimes even after passing through the postgraduate program of this quantitative techniques etc., people still miss on correctly defining how we can have the null hypothesis and how we can have the alternative hypothesis. This example says a new drug is developed with the goal of lowering blood pressure than the existing drug. So, alternative hypothesis would be, so this is alternative, this is not null. The new drug lowers blood pressure more than the existing drug. So, idea was whether it is more effective than the existing or not. Null hypothesis hence would be the new drug does not lower blood pressure more than the existing drug. So, existing situation is for null hypothesis equality situation, and if it is more than, less than, or not equals to, that will come under alternative hypothesis. I hope this is very much clear to everyone now. So, we need to keep certain care in mind before defining null and alternative hypothesis. So, here we begin with a belief or assumption that a statement about the population parameter is true. Then we use a hypothesis testing to challenge the assumption and determine if there is a statistical evidence to conclude that the assumption is incorrect. In this situation, it is helpful to define the null and alternative hypothesis both. Here is another example. Say example says the label on a soft drink bottle states that it contains 67.6 fluid ounce. So, if it is this much, you will be satisfied, and if it is less than, so you will not be satisfied. So, you would like to see whether it is soft drink. It may be, if it is more than this, a little one, because there is a limit of that particular bottle, it can't have significantly more than that particular ounces of fluid. So, that will come under null hypothesis, at least this much, and alternative means this does not contain 67.6 fluid ounce, right. So, you would like to see whether it is either equal to or more than, or against it is less than. So, in this way we can define null and alternative hypothesis. We can have a summary of how we have tried to define null and alternative hypothesis. Like we are discussing, the equality part will always come under the null hypothesis. In all the three hypotheses we have here, equality part is there in the null hypothesis, and the inequality part without equality, that it is completely less than or greater than or not equals to, that will come under alternative hypothesis. Alternative hypothesis, based on the alternative hypothesis we define whether our test is a two-tailed test or whether it is a one-tailed test. Two-tailed here means the rejection would be on both sides of the acceptance region. Say when we look at this two-tailed hypothesis, H naught says mu is equals to mu naught, HA says mu is not equals to mu naught. Say if we talk about the average marks scored by students in a particular campus, and we have a sample information where the average marks is 7.5. So, we may have that whether that mu is equals to 7.5, that will be H naught, and 7.5 SGPA, and mu is not equals to 7.5, that will be your H1 alternative hypothesis. So, if this is how we would like to test the significance, that will come under two-tailed test, or if this is how we would like to test the significance, whether it is less than 7.5 against more than, at most 7.5 they have scored against more than 7.5, or here this is at least 7.5, mu 0 represents the value 7.5 here. So, this is at least 7.5, when we say mu is less than equals to mu naught, this is at most 7.5 against naught. So, in this way we can have one tailed and two tailed test. So, if it is a two tailed test, like we were discussing, that rejection will come on both the sides. If it is two tailed region of 95% confidence, then lower limit of z value would be minus 1.96, upper limit would be 1.96. This becomes your acceptance region, and these are the critical values. Anything on the right side is rejected, anything on the left side is rejected. So, in this two tailed, rejection is on both the sides. In one tailed, you will not see this line if it is right tailed. So, there will be only rejection on one side, this complete 95% on the left side. So, you will have 50% up to this and 45% this. So, you will have 5% on this side if it is one tailed 5% rejection, one tailed, upper tail 5% rejection, right. In the same way, if it is lower tail of 5% rejection, so your 5% will come only on the left side, and you will not be having rejection, any rejection on the right side. For example, in this case, when you say mu less than mu naught, so if it is less than mu naught, then only you are going to reject this, otherwise it will be in the acceptance region. So, simple, if your rejection region is both the sides, critical values both the sides, that is a two tailed test. If rejection region only on one side, either greater than or less than, that is one tailed. Now, once we have one tailed and two tailed, then idea is to understand the final conclusion when we either accept a hypothesis or reject a hypothesis. You understand any assumption can either be true, or that assumption can either be a false, incorrect assumption. So, whenever we accept a true hypothesis, a correct assumption means we are making a correct decision. Whenever we reject a false assumption, then also we are making a correct decision. So, the issue arises only if we are rejecting a correct assumption, we are rejecting a true hypothesis, and we are accepting a false hypothesis. So, under those situations, whenever we reject a true hypothesis, that is an incorrect decision, that is called type 1 error. We also denote by this by alpha, and whenever we accept a false hypothesis, that also is an incorrect decision, we call this beta type 2 error. So, in any particular situation, we would like to minimize type 1 error as well as type 2 error. To understand it better, here is an example of components made by a machine that are sampled and measured to assess whether the process is under control. So, the supervisor is having certain sampling taking place. He has taken certain sample, and from the basis of sample, he would decide whether the process is under control. If the faulty items are as per the limits, he may allow the process to take place. If faulty items are more than the limit, he may stop the production to take place. So, the situation is process is in control, process is out control, means the defective are within limit, defectives are out of limit. So, if the defectives are within limit, he continues production, then obviously it is a correct decision. If defectives are within limit, still he stops the production, right, then obviously that is an error, because that defective certain limit is defined. None of the process can be 100% error free, it can be even 99.99% correct. So, those 0.001% error chances may be there, any reason or human or machine or any particular reason of error. So, in spite of that permissible limit, if he is stopping the production as a supervisor, because he has the power to stop, then that will be type 1 error. So, type 1 error is rejecting a true hypothesis when it is rejecting a true hypothesis itself is sufficient, a hypothesis is correct and you are rejecting. Second situation is process is out of control. So, the number of faulty are more than the specified limit. Still, if you continue production, reason maybe you do not want to take that responsibility of stopping, you may feel like that next supervisor will take the responsibility of on his own. So, that is again is an error, because there are direction instructions given whenever process is out of control, you must stop it. So, such kind of error of accepting something false, here the faulty were more than the limit specified, still you accepted, still you allowed the production to take place, that is type 2 error. So, and if the process is out of control, you stop production, that is a correct decision. Now, it is very important to understand these two, type 1 and type 2 error. Type 1 error is also known as producer's risk, and type 2 error is known as consumer's risk. Producer's risk, say for example, it is less likely that every item produced is 100% to the quality level. There may be certain which are not meeting that quality standard, maybe 1 out of 1000 or 1 out of lakh or 1 out of million. So, that how many such should be rejected, that a producer has to decide, because if that is not rejected, it may go to the consumer, and then obviously maintenance and chances of returning the same, and then chances of the impact on the marketing image, product image, brand image would be high. So, that is why they would like to reduce such items in the delivery, and so that whatever product that is reaching the consumer is error free. So, the producer has to decide how much percentage of items they should stop, or those are with error should be stopped. So, it is a producer risk. Now, when the product reaches the consumer, right, and before buying a product, we would like to see a trial, or we may like to see at least opening the product within a week if there is any error, or if it is error free. In case if there is an error, so that error contributes to the consumer risk, that he could not identify that particular item given an opportunity to identify, and still he bought item with some defects. So, he has to again go to the service center, or get it replaced, or take that pain of having the services under the warranty period. So, buying a product which is defective is a consumer's risk, and sending that product to the malls or retail shops, or to reach the consumer, it is producer's risk. So, both should be minimized. Once we have understood type 1, type 2 error, null and alternative hypothesis, so we would like to have an understanding now of what are the various steps, procedures of hypothesis testing, what steps we should follow, so that we are able to complete this process without any particular error. I advise that you follow those steps as it is, thoroughly one by one. The first step is that you need to define the hypothesis, what assumptions you have about the population parameter. If you have any assumption of the equality, that in case of mean is represented by certain value. This value, if you remember, was an estimate. Mu 0 is an estimate, mu is an estimator. If estimator equals to mu 0, that would be a null hypothesis. Alternative hypothesis would be mu 0 is not equals to mu. So, here this is two-tailed or one-tailed. It is certainly two-tailed, because the decision would be on both the sides. Then you define the level of significance. Level of significance is alpha 5%. Level of significance is nothing but a type 1 error, like we were discussing in the last slide. The type 1 error is alpha, type 2 error is beta. So, how much item out of the production you are rejecting, you are not allowing them, which you feel are faulty, so that these does not reach the consumer. So, that is called alpha, type 1 error. Once we have alpha defined, null and alternative hypothesis defined, then we need to calculate the test statistic. Test statistic, we also call that as Z cal, would be x bar minus expectation of x, x bar by standard error of x bar. Again, that standard error is very important here. Standard error, like we discussed in sampling distribution, we are again talking this in estimation. This is nothing but the variability of the sampling distribution. So, variability again, if your sample is large enough, it is with infinite population. So, it will be sigma by root n, and expectation of x bar is mu, right. So, this is a standard normal variate, and in standard normal variate it will follow the characteristics of normal distribution with average 0 and sigma 1. That normal distribution is very important. All the probability distributions are important. We shall be applying those here again and again. I hope you are quite comfortable with normal and probability distributions. Once we have this test statistic that we have calculated, then we shall compare this test statistic with the tabulated value, with the critical value. Critical value is these values. In case of 95%, our critical values are minus 1.96 and plus 1.96 that we obtained from table for this 95% region within the acceptance region, and this is the rejection region. If z value is between minus 1.96 to 1.96 and your z cal lies in this range, z cal will lie in the range of 1.96 if the z modulus means absolute value. If it is minus 1.45, say you calculate this, you take the modulus, this becomes 1.45. You compare this with z cal, which is z tab, which is 1.96. So, 1.45 is certainly less than 1.96. So, hence this is lying in this region. This region is the acceptance region, or you can say this is not significant region, right. So, that particular error is not that significant that it reaches the rejection region. So, hence we will say a difference between the statistic and parameter is not significant. It is just because of sampling distribution. There may be a little error between mu 0 and mu, that may only be sampling fluctuation. Therefore, we will say H naught cannot be rejected and vice versa, right. So, these are the steps defining the null and alternative hypothesis, level of significance, Z statistic, and finally, comparison and conclusion. We shall be following these steps in all the tests under testing of hypothesis. There are in total 7 tests that we need to cover. We shall be taking 2 tests today, and remaining maybe in the coming lectures. Again, quick understanding of the type 1 error. Type 1 error is rejecting H naught when it is true. Rejecting a true assumption is alpha. Then type 2 error, accepting a false assumption. Okay. These are certain values of Z, the critical values with which we will compare whether our Z is less than that or more than that. These are certain values in one tailed, two tailed. If you are able to memorize this, you can memorize. Otherwise, you can always have these values from the Z distribution table. So, again that normal distribution plays a very important role. Using the normal distribution table, you can have these critical values at certain level of significance, certain level of probability. Please do verify whether you understand this, how to reach these values. Say if you are talking about two-tailed test, and this alpha means the rejection, 1% rejection means half of 1% is 0.05, sorry 0.05 is 5%, 1% is 0.01, half of 0.01 would be 0.005. So, 0.005 rejection would be on 0.005, 0.005 would be on one side, 0.005 on the other side in case of 99%. This we are talking about 1% means rejection is 1%, 99% is acceptance. In case of 5% we have just discussed there only, it is two-tailed, we are talking about 1.96. Then 10% means our rejection is 10%, acceptance is 90%. This will become 90% here, 5% on the right side, 5% on the left side. I hope this is more clear now. In case of two-tailed, 10%, 5%, and 1%. Then it can be either right tailed, rejection is only on the right side, and it can be even left tailed, rejection is only on the left side. There is no rejection on right side if it is left tailed. So, left tailed your critical values would be in the negative term, and right tailed critical values in the positive form, Z positive values. Please do verify that how these values are coming. If you are able to memorize, then generally we use 1.96 for 5% and 1%, and sometimes this 1.645 at 10%. But normal distribution table is always accessible. These would be provided during exam also. So, you can again re-verify whether the values you have in mind you try to memorize are correct or not. So, after having the complete understanding of null and alternative hypothesis, and also the kind of errors that may take place while performing the hypothesis testing, we are moving to the hypothesis testing of different types. Under large sample, there is a possibility of the hypothesis testing of single mean. Single mean means whether the mean that we have gathered from the sample, whether that is representing the population or not. Difference of mean means there are two samples, sample 1, sample 2, whether the averages from sample 1 can be considered equal to the average of second sample, or can we just conclude that both the sample represents the same population. When we assume that both the sample represents the same population, means the averages both should be equal to the population mean, right. So, automatically those should be equal. Then single proportion says from the total population, say you have certain characteristic of interest, say if you are talking about faulty items, you have a sample of 100, and out of 100 there are 2 items that are faulty. So, 2 by 100 is the proportion of items that are faulty. So, is it the same proportion out of the total lot or not? So, we may like to see whether 2% out of the total can be a faulty or not. Also then difference of proportion would be similar when you have two samples, sample 1 certain level of faulty items, sample 2 certain level of faulty items. Can we consider treat them equal, or can we treat them that they are taken from the same population? And when we assume they are taken from the same population, both the samples, that means it is required that their population proportion would be equal to the sample proportion. So, test statistic for the mean of a normal distribution we have discussed already. The test statistic would be Z cal, or Z would be x bar minus mu by the standard error of x bar. The standard error of x bar is sigma by root n when it is an infinite population. So, we will be comparing that Z cal with the critical values. So, we will consider that in this region we do not reject H naught, or we can say it is an acceptance region, and this is the on the left side as well as right side. If there is a rejection region expected on both the sides, then that will be a two-tailed test. So, we will reject H naught if Z cal is more than the critical values. These critical values, like we discussed there in the previous slide, of 5%, 1%, 10%. So, your Z cal must be more than this for your H naught to be rejected. If it is not more than, if it is less than, lies in this region, then your H naught would be accepted. Means we will do not reject that. We generally say we do not reject H naught. So, after having understanding of the complete process of the hypothesis testing, we can have certain questions here. Say this question of some Glow toothpaste. The production line for Glow toothpaste is designed to fill tubes with a mean weight of 6 ounce. Periodically, a sample of 30 tubes will be selected in order to check the filling process. Quality assurance procedures call for the continuation of the filling process if the sample results are consistent with the assumption that the mean filling weight for the population of toothpaste tubes is 6 ounce. So, we are expecting the average weight for population as 6 ounce. So, that means we are expecting mu to be 6, otherwise the process will be adjusted. Assume that a sample of 30 toothpaste tubes provides a sample mean of 6.1 ounce. We are expecting it to be 6, but when we take a sample of 30, then it is coming out to be 6.1 ounce. The population standard deviation is believed to be 0.2 ounce. Perform a hypothesis test at the 5% level of significance to help determine whether the filling process should continue operate or be stopped and corrected. So, can we consider it is representing those 6 ounce this sample? Can we consider this 6.1 is equals to 6? Please keep in mind that here we are trying to understand whether the difference is significant. Significant here means there is such a difference which cannot be ignored, and that will not do it ourselves, that will not do just by intuition, will only do that with the help of statistical methods. So, here the requirement is, can we ignore this 0.1 difference? Expected was 6, sample says 6.1, can this be ignored or it cannot be, right? So, when we will ignore this means the difference is not significant, when it cannot mean be ignored. So, the difference is insignificant, right. So, that is what we would like to test with the statistical methods. So, here what information is given to us? The population mean is expected to be 6 ounce, sample is of size 30, and the sample mean that we are getting is 6.1, standard deviation is 0.2. So, we have to perform hypothesis testing for mean. Now, here one thing is important to understand how many samples we have withdrawn from the population. Can you decide upon how many samples have been withdrawn? So, if we look into, we have just taken one sample and another information is about the population alone itself. So, just one sample is withdrawn. The requirement is whether that sample represents the population or not. So, if that is the case, that will come under single sample mean test, single sample mean test. If had there been 2 samples drawn, then that would have come under the hypothesis testing of difference of means, difference of those 2 samples means. I hope that is clear. So, here we would like to determine whether mu is equals to 6 or mu is not equals to 6. Level of significance is 5%. These are the steps that we are following one by one. First step was the hypothesis testing, defining, then defining the level of significance. If level of significance is given like it is given over here, so you take that as it is. If it is not given, then you assume this to be 5%. Compute the Z statistic x bar minus mu 0 by sigma by root n. So, Z cal is coming out to be 2.76, that is Z cal. So, next step would be comparison between Z cal and Z tab, or before that the level of significance, because alpha is 5%. So, at alpha 5% you can directly say that it is 1.96, or you can say that 0.025 is 1.96. So, you will since it is two-tailed test, you can directly just compare Z cal 2.76 with 1.96. So, since 2.74 is more than 1.96, just take the modulus of this, absolute value 2.74, this 2.74 is more than 1.96. So, whenever your Z cal is more than Z tab, if Z cal is more than Z tab, so like this vice versa, so means there is a significant difference. So, what is happening? So, there is a significant difference, because this is more than 1.96, we reject H naught. So, there is a sufficient statistical evidence to infer that the alternative hypothesis is true, that is mean filling weight is not 6 ounces, right, although it was looking that 6.1 can be quite close to 6 if we go by our intuition, but which is not true at 95% level of significance. If we change our level of significance, then situation may be different. So, hence it is very important that do not take that intuitive decision of assuming two things equal or not equal. Better do test that with the testing a hypothesis with the statistical method. So, final our conclusion would be his requirement was should process be continue operating or be stopped and corrected, right. So, he will continue the process if it is 6 ounce, otherwise the process will be adjusted. So, it is saying it is not 6 ounce, it is different from 6 ounce. Therefore, the final answer you will write is the operations be stopped and adjusted for corrections and then maybe repeated later, right. In this way you can handle such situation and answer accordingly. Do not leave your answer till this. Your final conclusion should be what he is expecting in the question. He was expecting whether the failing process should continue operating or be stopped and corrected. So, your final reply is that it should be stopped and corrected, right. We can have some more questions here. Another question says the response times for a random sample of 40 medical emergencies was tabulated. The sample mean is 13.25 minutes. The population standard deviation is believed to be 3.2 minutes. The director wants to perform a hypothesis with 5% level of significance to determine whether the service goal of 12 minutes or less is being achieved. So, it is clear that director had a service goal. Whenever any medical emergency is noted, so they have a service goal to serve that medical emergency within 12 minutes. When the director has taken a data of 40 medical such emergencies, he has the average sample mean coming out to be 13.25 minutes. So, he would like to see whether this represents 12 minutes or less is being achieved or not, and population variability is given to be 3.2 minutes, that is population variability. I hope this is clear. So, it is again, and how many samples are there again? There is only one sample of size 40, there are not 2 samples or more than 2 samples. So, whenever there is one sample, the issue is whether it represents certain situation related to parameter, certain objective related to parameter or not. So, we only want to see whether that 13.25 information from sample, it is less than 12 minutes or not. Can we assume that to be under hypothesis testing, right? So, we will develop a hypothesis testing that mu is less than equals to 12, less than equal to 12 when we say means our service goals are achieved. Mu is greater than 12 means service goals are not achieved. Specify the level of significance, it is 5%. Now, compute the value of test statistic here, x bar minus mu 13.25 minus 12 by sigma by root n, it comes out to be 2.47. When it is 2.47, so again you compare at 5% level, z value you remember is 1.96. So, z critical value and z calculated value, z calculated value is more than that z critical value. So, 2.47 is more than 1.96. Whenever z cal is more than z critical, it goes to the rejection region. So, we will reject H naught, right. So, our H naught would be rejected. So, hence the conclusion would be there is sufficient statistical evidence to infer that the firm is not meeting the response goal of 12 minutes. It's not able to meet that goal. Okay. So, that would be our conclusion. Because what he was asking whether the service goal of 12 minutes or less is being achieved or not. So, our reply would be this is not being achieved. Now, this is a very interesting situation, because if we look at the acceptance and rejection reason, now these are two tails of the normal distribution, and you know that these two tail never touch the x axis. So, you can have this normal this interval as wide as possible. This is up to 95%. If you increase the boundaries, say 99%, then 99.99%, 99.9999%, there is no limit. You can just leave very little margin below 100%. So, this will become as wider as possible. So, hence if that is the case, so means by increasing the level of significance, increasing the confidence, you are widening your acceptance region. With widening your acceptance region, quite likely the more chances of error are there. So, here in this case, if we widen our confidence, and if we take say alpha is 1%, I hope you will agree that when alpha is 1%, since the confidence will be 99%. So, 99% confidence has larger interval, wider interval than 95% confidence, right. So, under 99% confidence, the z value was z value, if you look at that z value is 2.33, right, in one tailed. In two tailed, that it is 2.58, in one tailed it is 2.33. So, 2.33 becomes more closer to 2.47, and if we further say increase our level of significance, say 99.5% or 99.99%, then again you can look at certain value from the table, and you may notice at certain increasing the boundaries of the acceptance region, this still this can come within the acceptance region, right. So, at 5% it is the test is rejected, but then at certain say 0.001% this may be even accepted also. So, we may then accept more errors. I hope this is clear now. Moving further to another example, a machine fills packets with spice which are supposed to have a mean weight of 40 grams. A random sample of 36 packets is taken and mean weight is found to be 42.4 grams with a standard deviation of 6 grams. So, what information is given? So, machine fills packets which are supposed to have mean weight of 40 grams. Mean weight expected to be 40 grams means population mean would be 40 grams. A random sample of 36 packets is taken, that means sample size is 36, x bar is 42.4 and sample standard deviation is 6. First requirement is, are the means statistically different at 5% level, right. So, this will be one tailed or two tailed. We are talking about the difference between population mean and sample mean. This will be a two tailed test. So, alpha is 5% here. Then moving further, he is widening the interval and has a question, are the means significantly different at 1% level. So, when your interval is reaching 1%, you need to verify whether these are significantly different or not. You need to solve this yourself. You will notice at 5% when you calculate zcal with the same formula, you will notice at 5% they are found to be significantly different, but at 1% when you widen the critical value, they are not significantly different, right. So, probably they were very close to the critical value. The moment we have widened that gap, say if you look at the normal curve, initial critical value say was here, when you move that critical value here, probably that calculated value is in this region. So, since your acceptance region is now up to this, so this also comes under the acceptance region, right. It is such that a kind of question. Then third, he is trying to understand whether the population mean is greater than the assumed value of 40 grams using 5% level of significance. So, is it a two tailed or one tailed? since his requirement is to understand whether it is greater than 40 or not. So, he is not interested in knowing the difference, he is only interested in knowing whether it is greater or not. So, therefore, this will be a one tailed test. Please finish it yourself. So, we have just discussed on mean, single mean, whether that is representing the population or not. Now, moving to the proportion, like similar to mean, we have proportion. We would like to understand whether the proportion is representing the population or not. So, again we can have three situations, that proportion, sample proportion would be equals to population proportion, or sample proportion may not be equals to population proportion. If that is the case, this will be a two tailed test. If it is less than population proportion or more than population proportion, these two will come under one tailed test. One tailed test can be a lower tail or an upper tail. You remember that lower tail means rejection region is only on the left side, upper tail means that rejection region is only on the right side. So, the approach would be similar. Z-cal will be sample proportion minus population proportion by standard error of proportion, and standard error of proportion, you remember, was PQ by N under the root. If population proportions are given, we will be using those population proportions here. If population proportions are not given, then you can have a substitute as sample proportions, right. Here is some question on this. For a Christmas and New Year's week, the National Safety Council estimated that 500 people would be killed and 25,000 injured on the nation's roads. That is an estimate. The NSC, National Safety Council, claimed that 50% of the accidents would be caused by drunk driving. When you are in festival mood and you start drinking, sometimes you forget the limits, maybe because of that, and then you are out of control while driving. So, do not drive when you are drunk. It says a sample of 120 accidents showed that 67 were caused by drunk driving. They have an estimate that 50% of the road accidents would be caused by drunk driving. When we took a sample of 120 accidents, that showed that 67 were caused by drunk driving. So, I hope this is, you understand, this is not a average information, this is certain characteristic out of the total that certain sample possess. So, a 67 out of 120 is the proportion of accidents due to drunk driving. It was expected that it would be 50%, here it is slightly even more than 67 by 120, please calculate how much it is slightly more than 67%. So, use this data to test the NSC, National Safety Council's claim whether it is 50% or not. So, let us look at this. His claim was that 50% of the accidents during Christmas or New Year Eve were expected to be 50% as per NSC's data. So, that will be our null hypothesis of equality. It is not 50% would be your alternative hypothesis. Specify the level of significance. Is it given here? Yeah, it is very much given. It is 5%. So, you take that as it is. Then like in Z test single mean, we will calculate the test statistic here. Before that we have a standard error sigma p, p minus p into 1 minus p 0 by n. So, this is our standard error, use that standard error to calculate Z cal. Z cal comes out to be 1.28, right. So, while calculating standard error, when we are saying p into 1 minus p, p q by n, since here population proportion information is available, population proportion expected is how much? As per NSC Council, that expected is to be 50%, that is available. We can use that here. So, we will take 0.5 into 1 minus 0.5 by 120, this comes out. Then use this standard error here in the ZCal, this is sample proportion minus population proportion. Sample proportion is 67 by 120 minus 0.5, 50% was expected as per NSC's report. So, data comes out to be 1.28. Okay. So, at 5% you know Z tab, I hope now you are able to memorize it. This 1.28 lies within minus 1.96 and 1.96. Other way is that 1.28 absolute value is less than 1.96. So, this is you can say either comes in the acceptance region, or it is better that we say we cannot reject H naught. We recommend the conclusion whenever your Z calculated is less than Z tabulated, I would recommend that you write that your hypothesis we do not reject H naught, because whenever we say we accept H naught, there are quite chances of making a type 2 error. What was type 2 error? Type 2 error, if you remember, was accepting a null hypothesis if it is false. So, hence by writing we do not reject H naught whenever ZCal is less than Z tab is a better way of writing. Okay. So, here we can say yes, we are not rejecting. So, it is we are not rejecting H naught means it is approximately 50%, you can say. Okay. There is one more example here. A manufacturer claimed that at least 95% of equipments which is supplying to a factory conforms to the specifications. An examination of a sample of 200 pieces of equipment revealed that 18 were faulty. He was claiming 95% satisfy the specifications. Out of 200, 18 were faulty. We have to test his claim whether 95% at least are meeting the specifications or not. So, in that case, first you please write what is the given information. Your sample size is 200, x number of pieces meeting the specifications would be 182, proportion of pieces confirming the specifications, because his claim is terms of confirming the specifications. So, there are two ways here. One, you say in terms of faulty are 18 out of 200. So, then you can say that will become 5%, at most 5%, right, faulty, or other ways you go by his statement. So, in this case proportion of pieces conforming to specifications is 0.91. So, null hypothesis would be you can better write here H naught is P greater than equals to 0.95, because his claim is 95% greater than equals to 0.95, that is the proportions of pieces conforming to specifications. Alternative would be therefore less than 0.95. So, it is two tailed or one tailed? It is a one tailed, left tailed alternative. So, it is spice to test whether this is 0.95 or not at 5% as well as 1%. So, here please calculate ZCal would be P. We are repeating the same formula. I hope you are now very much comfortable with this, P minus vectored P by the standard error of P minus P by PQ by N. So, you calculate this, what is the value? It is coming out to be 2.6, and at since it is one tailed test, verify at one tailed the 5% value was look at that table at one tailed, right tailed or left tailed, it is 1.645. So, you can compare with 1.645 the calculated value. So, calculated is 2.6, take the modulus. So, ZCal with 1.645, ZCal would be greater than 1.645. So, hence why we will say it is significant, it lies in the critical region, not in the acceptance region. We reject the null hypothesis, hence the manufacturer's claim at is rejected at 5% level of significance. So, if we are getting 18 defective out of 200, means he is not specifying, he is not meeting the specifications. His was expected to deliver at least 95% of the equipment meeting specifications, but when there are 18 faulty out of 200, and with this statistical method it is confirmed he is not able to meet those specifications, right. So, in this way it is very important that we test it statistically, and with the level of significance, if we conclude the situation, that would be very much a valid statement, and people will appreciate the validity of that particular statement. Two more quick examples that you can solve it yourself. I will just try to give you some hint here. First says it is required to test the hypothesis that 50% of the households have a freezer, a refrigerator say. A random sample of 400 households was found and 54% of the household had a freezer. Test the significance of proportion at 5%. So, what is the situation? You need to first decide upon whether we are talking about averages here or proportions here. We are talking about proportions here very much. Then is it a single proportion or two proportions, differential proportion or single proportion? We have only one sample, so it is a single proportion case. So, idea is that single proportion represents the population expectation or not. Population expectation was 50% of households. So, whether that data is meeting 50% specifications or not. A sample says it is 54%. So, this 54% and 50% difference, is it statistically significant or not? So, we will not decide with our intuition or sixth sense, will decide this with the help of the hypothesis testing at 5% level, at 1% level, or at 3% level, even 4% are also possible. The critical values are available in the Z table, you can use those. I hope you will be able to do it. Then another example here, a machine put out 20 imperfect items in a sample of 500. In a sample of 500, machine is putting 20 imperfect items. So, it was able to put 480 items meeting the specifications. After the machine was overhauled, it put out 5 imperfect items in a batch of 150. Has the machine being improved after overhauling? Initial data says 20 out of 500 were imperfect. When you get your machine serviced or overhauling, so 5% are now imperfect out of 150. The objective behind overhauling is the reduction in imperfect items or increase. Obviously, it will be a reduction, expected reduction in the imperfect items. So, but it is now 5 out of 150, you can take this, how much proportion this is, and initially how much proportion it was. So, now this is a case of two samples, sample 1, sample 2. So, can we say that sample 2 data is significantly more than, significantly lesser than, because we are expecting the machine's performance to be improved, whether this is less than significantly or not, right. So, in this way this can be tested upon. So, what we have covered till now on the hypothesis testing, we started with the hypothesis. We started with the hypothesis testing as the process of assumption about the population parameter. That assumption may or may not be true, but that assumption is required to be made. Some value we allocate to the population parameter, and then we will see whether that value or that range in case of one tailed is correct or not. Then we move to the type 1 and type 2 errors, how we can define those, and which one is producer's risk, which one is consumer's risk. Then we move to the process. Those 5-step process are very important to follow, because if you miss upon any step, say you are not defined upon the null and alternative hypothesis correctly, then obviously your conclusion would be completely wrong. So, the all efforts towards calculation of Z tab and then comparison won't be worth if your null and alternative hypotheses are not defined correctly. So, those examples please again go through and try to be very comfortable with defining a hypothesis, then follow those 5 steps of hypothesis testing. Then we have today handled with the large sample tests. We discussed a single mean and single proportion, and how we can decide upon whether the sample information for average is representing the population information, and also whether the sample information for sample proportion is representing the population information of population proportion or not. And to have more practice, and in case if you need more reading on this, you can go through, rather buy this book. I would recommend Statistics for Management, and we can have more interaction, more examples from the same book. Richard Levin and Rubin, Pearson publication it is. Then Statistics for Business and Economics, and for more reading you can go through Business Statistics, Ken Black. With that we conclude this session of today. Thank you.